This past week has been a wild ride for the US stock market. One client jokingly emailed me and said, Eric, if you had any hair, you'd be losing it or going gray or both just like me. And if you're watching this video, you're probably asking yourself, is it time to hit the panic button? Is there something I should do? Something I should not do? So in less than 5 minutes, I'm going to share my quick thoughts on what's going on in the markets this past week and what you should or shouldn't do about it. First, I'd like to say that while I do my best to stay up to date, I would be lying if I said I was suddenly an expert on tariffs and global trade. And so I, like you all, will be relying on data and opinions from trusted experts to help guide my decision-making through this experience. In the description to this video, I'm going to include links to the subject matter experts whose interpretation of events have informed my opinion on things. Now, the reality is, when it comes to tariffs, we don't really know what's going to happen. We don't know which tariffs will stick, what the administration will follow through on, what they will back down on. What we do know is that when tariffs are put into place, there will be a change in public company earnings as a result. And earnings are what drive stock prices. As tariffs cut into company earnings in the short term, stock prices be getting revalued to reflect lower future earnings. Now, even so, nobody, and I really mean nobody, can tell you honestly or truthfully what the actual reduction in earnings will look like. And therefore, no one can tell you what the quote-unquote accurate haircut to stock prices should or will be. Lots of the chaos of the announcement are several facts. One, certain key industries are going to be accepted from the tariffs. Number two is that tariffs won't begin until April 9th. And the third is that there will be negotiations on a country-by-country basis that will determine each individual country's effective tariff rate. Meaning, we don't have all the information we would need in order to truly understand the impact of what is unfolding. So back to the question of the day, which is it time to panic? Well, let me ask you directly. Say you felt sick, so you went on WebMD and put in your symptoms. And WebMD tells you that cancer rates are rising in 62-year-old males. And because you're a 62-year-old male, you assume that your disease is cancer. Would you start suddenly taking chemotherapy without actually getting a diagnosis? That would be kind of insane, right? But that's what it's like trying to get your personal financial health diagnosis and your treatment plan by watching the news or comparing your investment portfolio to the S&P 500. A good healthcare system will provide you a diagnosis based on your specific health measures and provide you a prescription based on that. A prescription informed by your own personal behaviors around sleep and exercise, nutrition, and family. I believe your financial health should follow that same type of checklist. You have your own personal health metrics, financial health metrics. How much have you saved? How much do you spend? How are your investments constituted? What are the depth of your lower guardrail is? How old are you? When are you going to retire? When did you retire? At Peak Financial Planning, we use a 4-step checklist to determine what type of action to take when an unexpected and highly consequential event like this occurs. The first part of the checklist is look at your actual portfolio performance. Just like the health analogy earlier, you wouldn't go start to take chemo drugs just because there's an increase in cancer rates in 62-year-old men. You would first go get your health measures checked. So your first step should be to look at what has happened to your personal portfolio. I recommend doing a performance check since the start of 2025. The second step on our checklist would be to compare your portfolio's performance to what you hear on the news. So for reference, the S&P 500 is down just about 15% year to date. And I've spoken with tens of clients in the past couple days alone, worried about the unfolding events, asking if they should move to cash, what actions should they take in their portfolio. Many of those clients' portfolios are down 3, 4, or 5% as compared to the market's 15%. Now, could the market go down more from there? Absolutely. Does that mean individual investors and clients' portfolios could go down from there? For sure. But if you check your metrics and you realize that you are only participating in 20 to 40% of the market's downside, then you may not have reason to panic. One thing I can tell you is that if you look underneath the hood of poor market performance this year, it's largely driven by terrible performance from a small set of companies. It is not a huge broad market decline, but rather a clustered market decline that's dragging the total index down with it. And that's a reminder to always look under the hood and not just assume that because the S&P 500 is down, that your portfolio will be down equally or maybe even worse. Now, the third step in our checklist is to look at your lower guardrail. Truly look and say, based on my portfolio's actual value today, how much lower guardrail width remains for me? If you had a lower guardrail depth of 25% and your portfolio is down 5% this year, then you have a remaining lower guardrail of 20%. On the other hand, if your lower guardrail only had 10% of space and your portfolio is now down 8% year to date, you will know that you are close to triggering whatever that spending reduction would be in your guardrail plan. And then the fourth and final step in the checklist is to ask yourself, has what occurred in my individual portfolio triggered any action based on my plan or my guardrails? Remember, we want to make decisions off of systems rather than intuition or emotion. And the point of building a plan before events like these unfold is so that you will follow the plan rather than letting emotion be your guide. So if you have a plan in place, review it. And if you have a financial advisor you already speak to, reach out to them and ask them what your financial health looks like. And if you don't have a plan in place or someone to speak to about this, it would be my privilege to explore partnering with you on your financial plans. I'll include a link in the description below where you can book a free consultation with me. Thank you as always for your time and attention. See you in the next video.